Hello grapplers and welcome to a new video. I've been working on a long video for frames, basically an explanation of how they work, maybe some examples, but something has been in my mind lately. You can go for the easy route, which is something you have to do when you explain something like this to newcomers or people that want to get into frames, not necessarily in fighting games because frames are universal. So if you take something like Zangief Headbutt for example, in fact we're going to take this as an example of how difficult it is to go and actually understand frames. The easy thing is understanding the startup, the recovery and the active frames. Here you have a 14 frame move, it's active for 5 frames and recovers in 17 frames. The total is 35. You see that if we go over here, it ends at the 13th frame, not the 14th. The reason being the last startup frame correspond to the first active frame, and then you have 5 frames and 17. And if you hit someone just regularly, like this on block, it's gonna be +4. Now you understand very basically, just by taking a look at that move, how slow it is, how fast it is, how active it is, and the recovery. This is only the tip of the iceberg, because what happens if you hit someone with the second active frame? That is not the first active frame. That is actually between the second and the third active frame. And now you're +6 instead of +4. And all of those small things really matter in the long run for a game like Street Fighter or any game, again, any game really. If you add drivers to the mix, you add 4 frames. In this case, instead of being +4, now you're +8. Very easily, this is something I already mentioned in another video, but if you do something like this, and you drive rush headbutt, instead of being +8, you're gonna be +15. Understanding things like this takes a lot of years of practice. Once you understand frames in one game, it doesn't really mean you're really gonna get it all in another game. So in Tekken Street Fighter, for example, the fastest attack in Street Fighter 6 is 4 frames. In Tekken, technically 10 frames if you don't count Yoshi's Flash. You have to consider hitboxes when you talk about frames. You cannot talk only about frames, because this is very important. The green area, very basically, is your hurtbox, and the red area is the attack, the actual hitbox. If this connects to the green box of any other character, you're gonna hit them or connect with them. They can block it, obviously. It doesn't matter if something has the speed of 4, 5 or 6 frames if you don't have the hitbox that actually helps you to be safe or to actually use the button in a fight. It's very easy to say, for example, that if you are -2, the opponent can take their turn back. And this is somewhat real, but not really. Even if you are -2 or -3, the opponent, the person attacking, can just parry, because there is a gap. Because when you talk about frames, you have to talk about gaps, frame traps and other gaps. Being -2 or -3 is not necessarily the end of the world in Street Fighter 6. Wheel kick, for example, -8. Here, only a few characters can actually punish you. And that adds to the complexity of how difficult it is to read all the situations. And even if you understand frames, this can be very complex. You have a move that is 15 frames. It's spinning. That's the reason why you have so many numbers. And you recover in 27 frames. But then you have to consider the upper body anti-air invulnerability. And then way longer, the projectile one. Even more numbers. No head hurtbox on frames 1 through 5, and a shorter hurtbox on frames 6 to 13. You're just learning about frames and you're looking into properties and you start reading like, what does this mean? This is inherently what is very important with frames, and what pro players or people who want to really get into the game start studying, because that is reality. You have to study frames. Just to explain a little bit of the lariat situation, it basically means when you do the first spin of your lariat, you have really good anti-air properties. It's way better with OD lariat, even though some things don't change that much. But you'll see that at least the projectile invulnerability is from frame 1. That means you can wake up with this thing if someone wants to do a meaty super level 1 that is a fireball or something like that. And this begs the question, is it really important that I learn frames? Is this such a mandatory step for me to understand Street Fighter 6 or any other fighting game or action game? Yes and no. It will all depend on what you want to do with your time. If you just want to head to, I don't know, rank mode, battle hub, after a long day at work and you don't care too much, you just want to chill, then for sure learning frames is not necessarily going to be that important. However, someone that knows about frames, even a little bit, will have the advantage over you. But then you have to consider, should I then maybe dedicate a few hours each day, because this again, takes forever to learn how this works, or I just want to chill. So you have to set your goals very carefully at the beginning of the game or at some point during your entire playthrough of any of the games you're playing right now. Is this worth it? Do you want to get good at this game? Do you want to improve? Do you want to get to know the game at such a deep level where mechanics are very important? Then for sure, learning about frames, hitboxes, hardboxes is important. It is hard. It is hard to explain frames and it is hard to understand them, learn them. Go to twitch.tv/SiberiaLive. I'm playing Zangief a lot lately. We have a Discord, you can join if you want. And again, if you really like this video, please subscribe, give it a follow. It always helps. Take care of yourselves. Keep playing grapplers, hydrate, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.